Good morning, Azeroth. It is the 4th of April 2025. Grab your morning beverage and welcome to the stream. We'll be cracking on with our Bountiful delves again today, running them at tier 11. Gear up and get ready to fight the double question mark underpin boss. As we go, we'll have a natter about the Switch 2 and go over all that news as well. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Hope you're doing well today. The end of the week, you've made it through. Well done. Take it steady. Keep yourselves hydrated. Enjoy your weekend. You've got this. Apologies for being a little late on the startup again. We've had some technical problems on OBS again, but we're alright. Also a little under the weather still from yesterday, but we're alright. We've got the side street sluice to start with, followed by Fungal Folly, Skittering Breach, and are you joking? 4th week in a row, the bloody Spiral Weave. Why? Why do we need it again? Mix it up a bit, goddammit. Right, hang on, where my heart is. Bumped up our item level a wee bit. Probably do a little bit more once these delves are done. We're looking pretty solid. I would like to get my tier set shoulder pads just to get away from spiky goblinness, but there we are. Alright, in we go. Feels like it might be a new one. Let's make Mr. Delver switch off hazards. Dark views have a bunch of mechanics held hostage down below. I bet we can use some of these machines to break through the defensive they've got in place. Brand, you say that every time I edit this one. It makes me so nervous. Alright, if it's not smoked, it's not Cuda, and in we go. Oh, hello. Okay. Turn things off. We can flashbang enemies. We can turn him off. That's something a little different. Let's see how this actually plays out. Is it just going to be a matter of everywhere I walk, I've then got a... How dangerous is it if I don't? Eh, relatively. Nope. Here's Bran. Oh, it pulls them all to me. That. Oh, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. I can't believe that. That's absolutely horrendous. And here I wanted to start nattering about the Switch stuff, but I'm gonna have to deal with this first. Well, we're going to have to bear that in mind for the rest of the delve. A robot friend can just get us into a heap of trouble. Yeah, let's get into it. The reveal for the Switch 2 happened on the 2nd, a couple days ago. would have gone over it yesterday, but such as it is. And initially, right, let's go for it bit by bit to start with. Mario Kart World, as an intro, is, to me, feels like one of those things where Nintendo's a little late to a party. Trying to get into the open world game a little bit more. Feels like an odd choice for Mario Kart. It's worked for some of the, like, there was a Burnout game I think people really enjoyed that did something similar. What are going to be the downtime activities you do in Mario Kart? I don't think it's going to matter because Mario Kart sells like bloody hotcakes. You know, it's a series that does massive work for Nintendo. So it being the launching package, I understand. It's just, it's an odd approach for Mario Kart. Remains to be seen though. And then of course going over some of the actual hardware. Which overall seems like it's ticking the right boxes. You know, it is enough of an upgrade where a load of the third-party stuff has come in. A lot more than expected, but we'll get to that. The C button and having kind of their own built-in Discord, I think it's pretty nice, functionality-wise. I think that's going to do a lot for folks. I liked the silly additions of it being used in some games, like the little floating heads in Mario Party and stuff like that. I think it's a solid feature, it'll be alright. I noticed though on the stream as they were showing the shared video, some of the laggy video at the bottom between people sharing it. I thought that was quite amusing. And if that's what they were showing in a trailer, that's about as good as they could get it. But how it works out on actual launch, we'll have to see come June. They had their, like, the game that introduces you to a load of mechanics. There's always these kind of games. It's Welcome Tour in this case. And it wasn't quite Astrobot levels of play the system and learn that way, as it were. It was more of a, almost like a museum introductory thing, which I find pretty interesting, until they revealed it was a full price game, as far as we're aware, and not like a free pack-in to introduce you to the new systems. I like the technical depth of them kind of running through stuff, but if it is indeed full price, then that just seems like a silly inclusion to me. You're not. I don't think you're going to get many people buying that at all. We start going into the updates on other games like your Breath of the Wild, your Mario Parties, and all of that. And I'll get onto price later. I think it's really troublesome that they didn't show off any pricing during it and people had to find out on the website after the fact. I think it speaks to the controversy around it afterwards. Like the price of their games on average going up by about a tenner. The upgrade packs, I don't believe, got priced anywhere, but I can't imagine they're going to be cheap. You know, if you've already paid full price for one of those Zelda games, for example, and you want to buy that upgrade version for your Switch too, I imagine they will take the piss with it, unfortunately. Like, we've seen Sony do a lot of that, like have before the remastered version of Horizon Zero Dawn, the first one kept going on sale and going to a lower price and stuff like that. The moment that remastered version was coming out, they removed that one from the store, they removed all those lower prices, and it was the, you know, full price of it. It was a really shitty move, and to see Nintendo assumably going to be doing the same thing is pretty worrying. Focus momentarily on this robot. We'll pull all the enemies to me. Another one that just really frustrated me was the GameCube announcement, which I loved the GameCube. I had a lot of fun with the GameCube, especially when everyone else was getting on their next generation of Xboxes and PlayStation. I have a lot of fond memories of the GameCube. Locking that behind the Switch 2 felt really unnecessary. Like, surely there's no hardware limitation where the Switch 1 couldn't play GameCube games, of all things. Especially they even showed Fire Emblem Path of Radiance in the little clip that they had of games that will come later, and I'm like, ah, you bastards. You've shown it and you're taking it away from me. I just don't see a reason why you wouldn't part in the original. Like, that would convert me to getting that subscription service, at the very least, to play some of those GameCube games that I adore so much. But no, they went with that aspect of it. Which just sucks. It just really sucks. Obviously on Nintendo's side, you have stuff like the new Donkey Kong game looks really interesting. A lot of busting up the environment, being very silly. Folks are very excited about that one. There's a positive there. I think Dragon Drive, the test case for some of their mouse control technology, was a really fun looking idea. Felt like there was a lot of expressive stuff that was being done there. Really cool. And what really surprised me the most, I think, about the whole show was the sheer amount of third-party editions being announced. You know, obviously we had stuff like your Elden Rings, your Fortnites coming through, get your big popular ones on there. And a lot of stuff from a load of individual devs. The Hitman people coming on there to announce Hitman World for it. You got Final Fantasy Rebirth coming on it as well. There's a huge amount of announced third-party stuff, where Nintendo historically has often been pretty bad at getting all that in the early days. And if they had, it's so many years too late. Like, you look at the Wii U, and it was a real big problem. But I think a lot of these are games folks are going to want to get and play on that system. And then, of all things, an exclusive from software game. I was livid. I was like, I wasn't planning on picking up a Switch 2, not anytime soon. You're gonna put from first as they started going through that trailer, right? And she's holding the hand of that dude in the chair. And I'm thinking, all right, are we getting some kind of like horror game? What's going on here? The moment that lady started talking, I'm like, this is some real FromSoft vibes. It's got that cadence to the dialogue. And I'm thinking, all right, what are we doing here? And as the trailer went on, at first I'm like, it's Bloodborne 2. Nintendo actually going to be the ones doing it? What the hell's happening here? And then you see vampires and T-Rexes and trains and a steampunky Fallout suit flying across the sky and going absolutely bananas. Which was very interesting. Then it's the end of the trailer. Dustblood. Okay, so not Bloodborne. That's okay. A little disappointing, but sure. Another FromSoft thing. The only ones I haven't played are Demon Souls and stuff older than that, like your Kingsfield and that kind of thing. And then it said it. Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, and you're like, oh, Nintendo. You bastards. Like, I get it. Even with the understanding that sometimes games won't even get made unless a publisher, you know, fronts the money, and the trade-off is it gets to be exclusive. Alright, sure. Still feels bad. From what folks said thereafter, it's more online focused. Maybe not quite like how Night Reign's going to be. They said it's going to be a PvPvE experience, focused more on the PvP side of it, which, okay. Sure. I think there's some fascinating stuff for it. Then we get down to like the pricing of it. I think the console price itself was pretty much expected. You're looking at about $450 standalone, $499 with Mario Kart included. I don't think anyone was too surprised by that. The upping of the game prices, though, is a lot more worrisome. Especially, we've yet to see Grand Theft Auto announce itself properly with a release date. And it feels like if Nintendo's going to do it, everyone's going to do it. You know what I mean? Prices are probably going to go up across the board. I think the one saving grace there is if Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't raise its price, I think there'd be less incentive for everyone to follow suit. But odds are with Rockstar behind them, or the publishing company behind them, who have shown themselves to be greedy twats who do not give a toss, then that's very unlikely to turn out positively. And I think it's just going to mean all those prices going up. Yeah, indie games can always go around that. 330 with Mario Kart if you're British. Yes, Dark Eyes. I had not done any conversion rates. Rare to see you here in the morning, Bob. I hope you're alright. But it's certainly going to be a worrying trend where prices are going to keep going up. And it's just going to keep a lot of people from getting a load of games. Which is a real shame. This industry is better when everyone can enjoy and chill and have a good time together. The moment you start limiting that and making it more and more luxury, the less fun it is for everyone, all in all. We get a huge number of third-party stuff. Really surprising amount. I think one of the funniest things in there, you had some nice surprises like Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 getting announced for it as well, which I played through Undertale and nearly finished it the one time, but I had a Steam issue where I lost a load of save games and data. Never ended up going back to it. So it's on there on that pile of shame. Then they dropped a Silk Song 2025 reveal, just as like a 2-second clip in and amongst loads of other games, which was wild because people, of course, lost their shit. Of course they did. I have so much sympathy for that development team who have been getting some absolutely horrendous treatment from a very vocal community, or at least the minority of that community, in really disgusting ways. Let the poor buggers make the video game. It'll get there. Chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Well, you've got a day off as you're going on a trip to see some uni friends this weekend. Well, I wish you the best of luck with said trip. You enjoy your day off first. Oh, and is that extra... I don't know. I know you have the Switch Online thing. But were you not on the expansion plus to play like the N64 stuff and all of that? Because I assumed the GameCube stuff just rolled into all that. So it's not a third tier of pricing. It's just lumped into that other bit. I assumed. It's also something, it's almost like Nintendo didn't know. You know what I mean? It's like they weren't aware of how big a deal that was. Which is a bit odd. It goes back to that Nintendo just feeling ever so out of touch. Like, all in all, you can't argue with the amount that they showed off. And the excitement folks had around it. It's just then the moment you start digging into the prices, everyone had a good look up afterwards. It was upsetting. We also know a lot of press in the past, like, 12 hours or more, have started putting up a load of videos having hands-on with the Switch. There was an event in New York, I believe, where a load of content creators have been going over and having a look, getting their hands on. So there'll be a lot more info coming up today and over the weekend. Some hands-on impressions. I think they all got to play Mario Kart as well. I don't know how many games they were able to see. I haven't looked too much into it yet. But there's a lot going on. You don't want to take a selfie, Mr. Goblin. But yeah, I went in expecting to be angry about GameCube stuff. Did not expect to be angry about surprise FromSoft game. Again, it exists. FromSoft has got to the point of making a... I think they've got multiple devs working on multiple things in there now as well. Like, it's not just the one team, there's multiple teams on and going. How do I feel about the mouse feature? I think it's really interesting in the vein of potentially making some RTS games. I'm not expecting Age of Empires or Warcraft Mario by any means, but I think it's going to have a lot of fun uses. As I said, that Dragon Drive one looked like a really interesting test case for it. I think you saw stuff like Civilization being showed off there. I think having that functionality is going to work really well in those cases. I'm thinking of the scenarios where you're going to have your Switch, right? Whether you're playing it on a sofa, docked up to a TV, or maybe you're playing it in bed in handheld mode, or lying down on the sofa in handheld mode. Where's that mouse surface going to be? You know what I mean? Where are you going to be doing that? Is it going to be smooth enough where you can just do it on your lap? Is that going to be okay? Or is it just going to be a fiddly nightmare the whole time? I think that's going to be the main point of contention for people. As an idea, sure, great. Let's do some more stuff with a mouse, Nintendo. I think it being like showing off some stuff for wheelchair users was a great idea to have there. And it looked like it was really expressive as well. Like the little waves they were doing as they were playing and how they kind of interacted, the little celebratory hand motions. And then wheeling her out. They claim you can use it on your trouser leg. I'm doubtful though, says Dark Eyes Ninja. I agree. I am very doubtful. I can't imagine they will. Or that it will run very well at all in that regard. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's okay, but again, if their game chat video was anything to go by, which again, fun idea, Discord for the Switch, sure, have it going. Have a lot of functionality, have your little floating heads, fun stuff. You could see the latency, a lag between folks on those videos in their showcase. Like, you could see it whenever they were sharing screens. Which the fact they had to show that in the trailer led me to believe, alright, this is as good as you've gotten it. But again, for the mouse specifically, it'll open up the world for other things to happen. Maybe they can get some MMOs ported to it. We know like Final Fantasy XIV's had a console version. If you add some mouse functionality in there, that's only going to be a net positive. But is it going to be one of those things Nintendo just abandons in a few years? Not even that, a few months in. Going to work for 1 or 2 games and then we never see it again. Boop. There we go, well done, Brad. Now, tier 11's taking a bit, but we get through them. Not too much bother. Oh, I left one of the goddamn Nemesis groups alive. Piece of shit. It's fine. It's fine. Dark key for Elise. Get our chests. Goddamn numpty. Bountiful chest. Ooh, color upgrade. Level 20 rep on there as well. Lovely jubbly. Get that color upgrade.
Nice find.
Not better boots. I'm not expecting a gear upgrade in these as of yet. It's mainly getting these stash crests. That's what we want. Delicious. Alright, out. 3 more to go. I think we head off to Ashkahet next. Get the spiral weave out of the way first. I can't believe it's that delve again. 4th time in a row. At least the mouse functionality gives them a way to bring other more PC-focused games onto their system, potentially. If they can be bothered to do their work. Here you go, Elise. Oop. Onward! Have a swig of his beverage. Make sure you're doing the same out there. Keep yourselves hydrated. Exactly, and I think maybe it will make some folks like Microsoft be like, well, now we can port Age of Empires over to the Switch. Get some use of that functionality. It certainly opens up more options. Or maybe something like Hearthstone or other card games where if they haven't necessarily had a console version like Balatro did. Surprised not to see a Balatro announcement, to be honest. Ugh, web spreaders. I hate these. About time you showed up, says Bran. This little fella has a message for us from the Weaver. Hang on, let me just eat my Gouda. Goddamn pulsing spider sack. Delicious. The Weaver rat hoists up the note as you examine it. The Nerubian forces here have gathered supplies to attack Hallowfall. I've gifted you a special webhook to maneuver through the spiral weave, steal their stores of explosives, and use them to destroy the supplies. And do not disappoint me, little morsel. The Weaver. Shopping. I don't even know if I've done this one yet. I may have.
I need to
Right. Clear out that egg. And then quickly grab these. Ow. Lots of damage. Bran, why have you thrown those potions so far away? You also had that I hadn't talked about yet, the Legend of Zelda movie coming out in 2027, which because one of the other things they announced a couple of days before on their other direct was a phone app for Nintendo News, ? And other than there, you know, being some marketing potential there for Nintendo, sure. The director of that, I believe, was the fellow who's done... He did like Blade, some of the Underworld movies. A very more miss than hit track record. So, especially with how video game movies tend to be, there was a good bit of worry there. Obviously, we'll wait and see, just because you know, mainly made bad films necessarily. And the Underworld stuff seems more like fun than bad, you know what I mean? But generally speaking, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be a bad film. We'll have to see. I just think it's a very... You're going to have to get Zelda to carry that movie. You know what I mean? Link's just going to... He's just going to be quiet the whole time other than grunting.
It's too far away.
So how do you make the movie? You could make it a silent film. Or have it just audio and sound effects. No dialogue. Maybe a fairy yelling at the poor bastard so every so often. Which Zelda game do you choose? I think a lot of folks would just like default to, I'll do Ocarina of Time, but how good is that for making a movie? You've got your 3 temples at the start, your middle section, and then all the other temples again. Then with time travel, maybe not for a general audience. Oh no, too big. Oh, phew. I'd love to see something as bonkers as Majora's Mask, but they're not going to do that. Maybe you just do... like OG initial Zelda, you know? Maybe that's alright. I just don't know how you make that engaging. As a film. So a film is always riskier than doing a TV series for video game stuff because it tends to need longer. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, 2 of these at once wasn't necessarily a good idea. I should have swapped target. This is season 1, this would have killed me pretty much immediately, whereas this time I can actually fight it now. even if they're a little tanky.
Those webs will summon the Rubians. Don't stand in them.
Oh, I know, Bran. Again, that movie's so far away that who knows what landscape of adaptations will be in by then. We know there's a great deal in the works. You got God of War movie, Horizon movie, Sleeping Dogs movie, many more I'm forgetting off the top of my head. You'll have to see. Maybe stuff like Secret Level where the shorter animated stuff was just a lot more interesting.
I'm out of range.
Like that thing they did with Pac-Man, which I recently learned was almost a trailer for a game they're doing. I think it's called Shadow Labyrinth. Again, I loved that take on Pac-Man being this eldritch horror of a monster trying to escape. I'm actually very eager to play that game when it comes out. I'm gonna have to keep an eye. See if the reviews line up. In that same vein, you had the folks at Riot not announced that they're doing something live action, as well as obviously Arcane and other stuff they've got in the works. I say Arcane, whatever they do with Noxus next won't be called Arcane, but you know, Fortiche assumably are still working on it. But they've got a live action thing, I believe. I can't remember which country it ended up being, but it was basically announced by that country because they were worried about locals getting upset by the filming. Oh no. Oh, that was easy. Singular pipe. Didn't miss an explosive, did I? No, check the other side. There's one. Kill that undermined fella over there. Out of the way, spiders. More often not for a video game film, as long as it's entertaining, I don't mind. Like, the Warcraft movie, for example, had so much potential. And just whiffed so much of it. I think the set building and a lot of the setup they did, like how good Ironforge looked, how good the orcs looked, really well done. Then everything that happened with the humans was just garbage. I don't think that's by any fault for the most part due to the actors. I think they did the best thing they could. Just some bizarre choices. You've got to wonder the same thing's going to happen again. So who's going to play Link?
I don't have a target.
I can't see Chris Pratt getting Link, can you? Other than living up to the meme. He's in and does everything. Even you think of like one of the Hemsworth brothers, long blonde hair. You can't really. Link's not really a muscle-bound meat of a man, you know, he's not a brick shithouse. He's small fairy boy. I don't know, I think it's going to end up being a fun thing to follow along with at the very least. The Sonic, like the Mario movie did alright, the Sonic movies are pretty beloved. I haven't seen any of those yet, by the way. I still need to. They do look like a lot of fun. And Jim Carrey as Eggman seems to also just have a lot of fun with it. I think that's the main thing, to be fair. Oh, forgot the bomb. One more explosive. Whee! freak. Where's me potions, Bran? Bran! Oh, now you throw the potions. You shitbag. I also had that thing from Ubisoft a little earlier in the week where they were kind of making a subsidiary of some of their more popular franchises, or at least the ones that are making the money currently. Which kind of feels like they're leaving all of their other stuff just on the vine to die. To wither away. You know, your stuff like For Honor. That in theory will be paying the price for managerial mistakes. Well, with a lot of other franchises too. Prince of Persia. Anything smaller that they can't be arsed with. Just so the Gaelmer family can retain control. And for those who haven't heard me talk about that family, fuck them. Right? They're scumbags who allowed so much abuse at that company, covered it up, moved people around, letting them essentially keep their jobs, have a golden parachute, while not really claiming any responsibility. Shit state of affairs. And their constant desire to keep a hold of that company. You know, greed, money, the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. It's just fuck 'em, essentially. Emphasize with the dev teams who have to work under them. The many dev teams. Ubisoft, of course, is gigantic. In a way, very few studios, even other AAA ones, are not. Truly terrifying. Thousands of employees. It's almost like they feel like they have to leverage that gigantic amount to make every game as gigantic as possible, in the most part. I mean, Shadows appears to be doing alright. Mostly good faith criticism. You got some foul actors in there, but you always do. I've just not been about that series for a good while now. I tried Odyssey of the more recent vein. Enjoyed it. I think that was mainly because Cassandra was carrying it though. She was fantastic. Voice actor and her writing did so much work in that game. The gameplay was okay, but it was mainly just to hear her talk more and to crack wise. That was great. And then when Valhalla obviously was like one of their their best-selling Assassin's Creed game. You've got to remember though, that was pandemic. Like, it had a leg up that no other game in that franchise has had. And people do like their Vikings, to be fair. And don't get me wrong, I started it. It was like at one point it was given away on the Epic Store 1 year. Can't remember the exact one. And it was fun to take a two-handed sword and slice dude in half, but it's like, feel very Assassin's Creed anymore, does it? And the game was just gigantic. I got maybe 10 hours in and was like, if this is another 500, I don't think I can do this. It's an awful lot. And not all of it's going to be fun. It's going to get tedious real quick, and there were bits of the combat that I didn't really enjoy that much. So I'm not there for them these days. And maybe 10 years ago, the idea of having Japan set, Assassin's Creed, I'm all for it. I'm in the door day one. I'm like, oh yes. Kenobi time. But here we are. It's another video game movie I never got around to seeing. I only heard kind of... I didn't hear it was a train wreck. I just heard that the Assassin's Creed film was just kind of meh. Meh. Really give a shit. Nah.
It's too far away.
It was Fassbender as well, wasn't it? That'll be on a streaming platform somewhere. I should just have a look at that. Just to know. Just to see. Let me know, what's your favourite bad video game movie? Let me know live or in the comments. What's your favourite not bad video game movie? What franchise are you overjoyed to consider maybe getting a movie one day? What do you want to see? Your dream video game movie. It can be as big or small a franchise as you like. Ow, 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 ow. We're in a spot of bother, Brant. We're in a spot of bother. Bloody spider web in the middle of the room keeps going. Shit.
I know you could do better than that.
Bran, it was the addition of one single spider to those 3 goons, and we got done in. What happened there, Bran? I could have bubbled. To be fair, I could have bubbled. Did I not get a checkpoint any It's alright, we can Spider-Man our way over. Any sneaky ones about? Not quite. Surely that one's just gonna drop me into a web. Oh, the range on it's pretty generous. Ah.
Smell that? It's treasure. I know it. We're close.
We're not, Bran. We're not. You're a liar.
I'm out of range.
Now we've lost all of our color upgrades. How? Did the Undermine fellas leave? Oh no, they're here. Oh, Bran. Okay, it didn't unstun him, that's fine. Joys of crowd control, repentance, seeing us through. Stop making crowd bombs, please. Of a spider. No, don't stand in him, Bran. There's our strong box at least. Get him gone. They flee in terror. Okay. I wonder if... Did that get the enemies to ignore us? Kinda worked.
Nice fight.
Oh, beautiful. Let me run around and grab that other one I see on the other side of the room. Get another drink buff before we tackle this fella. These web things being in this room's a bit rough. As we spawn in more dudes.
Nice
One more that
fight.
way. Don't mind me, Overseer. Don't mind me. Just making my way slightly over to this side. I love it.
Fantastic.
I'm out of range.
Go grabbing the potions. And mind this. Oh yeah, I remember this one. Would be dangerous if some of the elements of the fight worked in conjunction with each other a little more rather than being separate. If those spikes stayed out, for example, and if when he's burrowing, if I didn't lead him away from them, maybe it made them explode for a ton of damage. All these drones that spawn. If they continued and needed to be kited and killed. Lots of little things that could be made to work with each other to be more deadly. Like this. Making it a little more deadly. Just a wee bit. But look, all them little spiders just die over time. No problem. Make sure I'm bobbing that. Go back for the other potion. Nope. You think it when I'm forced to interact with the spikes. More of a bother. Might as well have him.
It's too far away. I need to get closer.
T-Rex doing good work on those ads. Getting them crowd controlled. Not that they'll catch up to me anyway. Ooh, that was nasty. That's what I mean. Combo me. Have shit work together.
I'm out of range.
Smell that? It's treasure. I know it.
What do you mean, Bran? Been in this room for ages. Why now? Almost. And down you go.
That's more like it.
Yeah, it was one I missed. Go get our treasure, Bran.
Ah. That's more like it.
You have received Schneef. Hello, Schneef. Spirit one's interesting, but again, it's hard to argue with direct stat upgrades. Cloak. Veteran. Ooh. Champion level will be better then. Hold on to that. We'll upgrade it a wee bit. Have to re-enchant it, but it'll go up higher than that one. Oh, pardon me.
fight.
And the gilded stash. Be nice if that. Oh, goodness. If that had a little bit more in there. Alright, we had Fungal Folly, and then it was the Skittering Breach. Get on over to the Flight Master around here, and I'll get us going and nip for a quick bio break. We fly on, get these next two done. There we go.
We have strayed from favor.
Right, Virch. Stretch your legs, refill your beverage. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. I'll see you soon. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. Just get me a tip back on. Oh. So last evening's stream, we got started on One Stop. Those who don't know, it's from the creator of The Beginner's Guide and The Stanley Parable. Beginner's Guide's on my pile of shame, never got to it. Intend to do one day. But Stanley Parable I really enjoyed. Never got around to the definitive edition, which I heard was delightful. But at some point I'll be doing that one as well. But with those writing chops, I really wanted to experience their next thing. And Wonder Stop has been, so far, we've done one stream, a delightful, cozy game with these underpinnings of trauma from our main protagonist, Alter is sometimes antagonistic, for sure. And otherwise, we're just making tea for people as we chill out. And I really like the premise. I really like what they've got out there. It is a lovely, cozy little place. We've got a lot more to go for with it. I know it's not the longest of games. Why am I getting shot? I don't remember this one. Speaker, I haven't done this one in a while. This was like my favourite delve. One of my favourites. Just because it was that first introduction to the Rubian architecture that they were going for in the wall within. But the little facets of gameplay and how the writing has come across so far in Wonder Stop has been utterly delightful. There's a book, a very detective spoof on a fella called Dirk Warhard. It was just daft. The little writing book on gardening as well was so full of charm and personality. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend the game, even having only played 3 hours so far. I get the feeling that the theme is going to start hitting harder as we get in there. There are a couple moments where I'm like, oh boy, we're getting a little close to the chest. And he ran away. Too much for me to do to waste time on you. Alright, villain. But we will be momentarily breaking from what I always have been doing so far, which is I stick with one game on an evening until we've got through it, got it done, as we did with Kill Knight, which took a lot out of me, but I really enjoyed it. More of a top-down bullet hell. But Monster Hunter Wilds just had its first title update with Mitsune, the Bubble Fox, with Zoshia, the end boss of the story being fightable and an armor set being earnable now, as well as the proper Gathering Hood, arena quests, lots of little goodies. And obviously that game is going to increase in quality just more and more over time, as every game in the Monster Hunter series does. And I'm eager to see how these new fights, at least in Mitsune, has been translated into Wilds. And Zoshia, how much more difficult it might be. It was a really fun fight. The first time through in the story. It was a real shame you couldn't see it again, but you knew the plan was to have you fight it again at some point. Honestly, I thought it would take a lot longer. I thought they'd save it maybe until the end of their base Wilds updates and have a crazy powerful version, but they can still do the Arc-Tempered stuff. We know Arc-Tempered Raid Hour's on its way in a few weeks' time as well. It's not coming day and date with the title update. It's coming with the Summit event where they change up the hub and stuff like they were doing in World. Get it all festive and seasonal, as it were. Looking forward to that. We'll be fighting each thing solo first and then opening it up to the squad lobby. Which if you watched any of those streams, you can find that there. You're welcome to come and join me. Do some hunting. I've had some folks come in over time. It's been quite fun. Ow. Taking a lot of damage. focus up for a moment, try not to die. Beautiful. Speaker again. He's gonna have me fight 3 waves of dudes after I boop his snoot again. As if every time we fought him, he'd get a few more mechanics, but I imagine he's just going to do that cleave, and then spin, and then cleave, and then spin. I say, just ideas for what they might do in future. Have this be more dangerous every time, have him be more threatening, maybe as he's learning and doing ritualistic shite, he gains more otherworldly knowledge, starts to become, I don't know, more voidy, a few tentacles coming out, new moves, that kind of thing. There's just opportunity for more, and I gotta keep saying it, on the off chance someone on the dev team at some point sees these. You can always make some kind of gigantic forum post, but I've never been big on posting on forums. Occasionally I'll leave some feedback. That's usually more in like an early access or beta phase of a game. When it comes to WoW, I hate playing betas in the PTR because it's like, I'm going to be going through this stuff again. For games that require a bunch of grinding, or at the very least, I don't need to see a story a second time through when the first time through is going to be unfinished. Okay, at least we didn't get waves of dudes that time.
That's more like it.
Any more of those? No, we're good.
Those ships are coming for us.
I know they are, Brad, but we're okay. Just don't stand in them. Okay, that could have been it. Oh, damn it. I remember these being really troublesome. The auto attacks did a lot of damage. That's what I remember. One T-Rex. Get him stunned. Such a useful T-Rex. I was thinking about that Duskblood FromSoft trailer. Went from vampires to T-Rexes and trains and all of that so quickly. It was fascinating in a way. Isn't it in a year where they've got Night Rain coming out? Which, yeah, I'm very excited to get into that and stream that as it comes out in May. Hoping we can get Doom done first. It's just... scheduling has been just trying to keep on top of new stuff that's coming out, whilst taking breaks and playing indie stuff in between. I still want to get through Avowed. Then after Avowed, there'll be Expedition 33, and then it'll be Doom, and then it'll be Night Rain. Not always going to be time to do indie stuff in between those, but we'll see how things play out. Three goblin groups about. It's going to be another one of the way. I think I've just missed one, probably. Is there one back over there? Yep, there was. I'm glad I thought to check. Ow. Brad had to emergency supply, which is not great. They just do a load of damage out of nowhere, especially if that heal isn't quite up. consistency on your potions, Brad. Consistency. Let's go get the other pin group. I think I'm just hiding off to the side there. I'm hoping I haven't missed another one a little higher up. If I have, I have, but we'll see. Grab this first, see if we get a buff there. I should eat one of my meat and potatoes. Yeah, let's do it. All I need to start crafting more is to just go and buy a load of cooking ingredients anyway, so it's not be all and end all. Just need to remember to do so. Go to it in Dawn of Gold before the end of the stream, that's fine. Right, come here. Ow, suddenly a shit ton of damage. I can knock things down reasonably quick. Not as quick as I'd like, but reasonably. It just feels a lot better this time around to do tier 11, and the fact they actually reward me means by the end of them I'll be in a decent spot when it comes to my main skier. Obviously the downside being that's only useful when you're doing current content. It gives you a bit of a leg up into the next season. Once I can like get rid of the underpin, it's not going to be that useful other than wanting to get more of this mythic set, which I can just farm through delves. Slowly, but doably. Oh, and they got murdered. Some of them got murdered. Crap. The other one ran away, walked off, he spawned. Very strange. Still doing a lot of damage by himself though. There'll be only one more group after this one, so that's okay. We still have the Summer Game Fest, I think, happening in June rather than July. I could be wrong. I need to double check the dates. I think a lot of the announcements there are probably going to depend on when GTA 6 comes out. Now, Jeff being the tapped-in industry fella that he is, probably aware of the release date. Wouldn't surprise me. So he's probably planning around that, but we know a lot of publishers are holding off announcing or saying anything until they know for sure when GTA 6 is coming out. Obviously, it looked like a load of people knew when the Switch 2 was coming, hence all the third-party support. But GTA still being a question mark makes things messy for the industry. We will have to see. Again, not going to be one I'm playing myself, unless something radical happens. It's certainly going to take the industry by storm in a way we've not seen probably since the last one. You know, it's probably one of the most, what's the word, in the general masses beyond folks who tend to play video games. You know, it goes even well beyond your Call of Duties and your FIFAs, or whatever EA are calling it these days. And in a year where Monster Hunter Wilds has come out and sold 10 million copies already, it's a bit of a shame that that's going to get overshadowed in a load of Game of Year discussions by GTA 6, most likely. I find it's going to be really wild to see a world where the possibility of GTA 6 flopping is a thing. You never know, though. Maybe they just come out and shit the bed completely. Can't quite imagine it, but given that companies focus on greed above everything else, maybe they do something obscene. And I've no doubts the online infrastructure that people have become so fond of for Grand Theft Auto 5 is simply not going to be there day one. It's not. I think anyone who thinks it is probably just feeling a little delusional over it. Or maybe just hopeful. You know, it'd be nice. I can't see him having that ready. Not after how they shafted Red Dead 2. It is their main cash grab, though. Seller cash grab's probably too hefty a term. But you know they're going to be monetizing the shit out of it. We know for GTA 5 that didn't end up being a load of single player expansions, that ended up being all the multiplayer stuff over time. So where they end up going is unclear, but industry's certainly going to be watching with bated breath. I hope for good things. Even if it's not a franchise for me, you still want it to do well. You want video games in general to do well.
Nice fight.
Then we get Moa. These explosive scumbags. Think too, as far as I'm aware, GTA 5 never had any big, like, collab DLC. Not like your Capcoms or your Nintendos would do, where it's like, oh, and we've got this studio making a thing with us. Here's Cloud or a costume. Like, Fortnite does so much collaboration stuff. Maybe it's just the nature of what GTA is, but maybe we see a big shift there this time around. It's going to be big enough that a load of companies are going to ideally want collabs, but how much that actually matters in the grand scheme of things for a game like Grand Theft Auto is probably not at all, you know. But I don't die to random mobs. More than anything, it's just going to not necessarily set a standard, but it will be the game that games are compared to in the more general circles for years to come, so you have to hope it does well. I think we're past the era where a load of people were making not even clones, but like, remember when Saints Row kind of started out as a goof on GTA and then evolved into its own crazy thing that people loved? Or the Mafia series coming out and taking it just to a different era. I enjoyed those games. They were alright. And stuff like Sleeping Dogs as well, taking it in the other direction. But we've had a lot less of those in recent years. I see the treasure, Bran, but who's trying to biff me? These. Let's go over here and biff them first. Oh, a fourth. That's not good. That's not good. Oh, we're going to struggle with this lot, Bran. There goes the emergency supplies. Bubble. Bubble and do some damage. We've got to try and get them down beforehand. Oh, it's not good. Done. More AoE. More potions, Bran. Dear God, more potions. Ooh, just. We're good. I can't pull that shade as well as the whole room. We'll wait for him to pass. Have a swig of your beverage. Oh, thanks, Brad. Get some Gouda going as well. Oh, keep yourselves hydrated too now. Keep nagging you till you do. Oh. You wonder if with the GTA announcement they're like, and it's coming to Switch too. Or if technically it's going to be go beyond that point. That you'll have to wait for whatever Nintendo's next thing is. It's wild to think that this Switch was what, 10 years ago? When the Switch first came out? Wild amount of time. And nearly every other generation, Nintendo have kind of have had a handheld that's kind of gone on side. I think part of the reason in the Wii U days they could weather that storm is because of how well the DS and 3DS were doing. But because the Switch is, you know, is both. Never delve back into that. There's a lot of talk of Sony having their own handheld they're working on. Microsoft are working on one as well. It's a lot. The dudes in the chat, welcome to the stream. I believe it's been about 10 years. Yeah, it makes you feel old, doesn't it? It's very upsetting. I'd have to double check the date, but I'm pretty sure it's been a long ass time. Been some great Switch games. I got one really late into its cycle. I got one for Monster Hunter Rise. Didn't end up enjoying it as much as I thought. I've kind of gone back to it since Wilds and enjoyed it quite a bit, but I have to think back. Was Odyssey the first Mario on there, or was Mario Galaxy 2 that a Switch game? Is it Wii U and Switch? Dear gods. Almost. Alright. Feels like 10 years. 8 years is still a lot though. Still makes you feel old to hear it if you were there for the launch. I know, it's been a really weird console generation. It's been really weird. I heard someone talking about Naughty Dog the other day, you know, the folks behind Uncharted, The Last of Us and all that. They haven't made a game for this generation yet that wasn't a remaster. And that sci-fi thing they're doing is going to be their first one. And it's not even coming out for another year or two. Bonkers where we're at. It's absolutely bonkers. Also, you had the pandemic in the mix of that, but there's so much that's changed about how companies approach delivering content and the live service push that most have been doing. Messy, messy business. Obviously you got the old guard like WoW or games like this that still trundle along all those years later, but they've not been without their issues either. You know, if we're not for Dragonflight and the change in approach, it's hard to think WoW would have recovered. Alright, speaker, get dead and give me my booty. Any fancy new mechanics in this last bit, or are you just gonna weave and spin? Oh boy, a dude's in the chat. That's it, that's a long time. Thinking back then. I played like when I was a kid, my grandfather had the Odyssey, which was like the first console, if memory serves. Didn't end up getting a SNES and all that. The N64 was like our first household console. And I was still pretty young. Pretty sure I was under 10 when that all came out. I've loved video games ever since. It's just, we have seen the rise of the internet. We've gone from 2D to 3D. It's hard to envision when the next big jump could be anymore. I don't know, games will always get better graphics-wise, technology will always improve, but the increments have just become so much smaller now. Different world. We're never again going to get a jump from 2D to 3D. Fly, but making each other feel old there, but Coleco Vision, goodness me. Played like a Sega Mega Drive at his cousins at some point. And if one family member had a certain console, you'd go and play that at theirs. Our house was always the Nintendo household for a good number of years. It wasn't until Halo 3 came out that I got an Xbox, just because it was one of those things where everyone at school was like, Halo, Halo, Halo. Very excited for it. It was like a joint birthday present. Got a hold of an Xbox for Halo's launch day, Halo 3. Was so excited, so eager to tell everyone at school, oh, I'm in, and I can play Halo with you all. I even spent the morning Dad was like, I'll drive you into school. You don't have to take the bus. You can set up your Xbox, get it all ready for the evening. I was like, yes! And I'm all excited. And I get in, I'm like, guys, you'll never guess what. We know you've an Xbox. How do you know? Oh, your little brother just came and told us, you son of a bitch. Took my thunder from under me. Well, same for you dudes, aye. That was the... I think the 360 just did so much, and so much right, that... I think it won over a lot of people, especially for all the playing games together with mates. It did a great deal. And I loved it for the... Summer of Arcade and the indie stuff. Like, I never really knew much about indie games until then, and suddenly, like Bastion, games like that opened up this door to a world of games I'd never really looked into before. And obviously, Steam's done more and more and more over the years. Hey, job done. Well done, Brad. And when we see some games come out these days, we're like, oh, this feels like a 360 game. Like Space Marine 2, or there was a game where you hunted people as who were vampires, and you had like a cyberpunk style gauntlet, steampunk rather. I can't remember its name. But whenever a game comes out like that, there's a nostalgia to it that just feels good. It's when like Devil May Cry 5, I feel, is in that category. It's video games that are unabashedly video games.
That's more like it.
Lovely stuff. More upgrades for Bran. I don't really want to buff Bran.
That's more like it.
And the other one. Chance to toss a grenade at enemies. Oh, it's not going to stun a boss, is it, Bran? So, nay. Alright, we have one more to do. Get us out of here, robot. Right, we're ready to go. I think the last one will be... Fungal Folly. To the mushrooms. And it's impossible for me to imagine that the next generation of consoles is going to do anything that's going to blow us minds. A lot of folks thought VR at some point would be that next big step. You know, we've gone from 2D to 3D to we are in the game. When Sword Art Online first came out as an anime and people thought, oh my god, this is what we want. In a please don't kill us kind of way. Fun looking back at that and poking fun. Oh. Am I going that way? Please, horse. But VR never really... It wasn't really consumer friendly, just in the price range. I know it's been going down and down and down. But there's yet to be a game that's really blown people away. Even Half-Life Alyx, which people were very excited about, didn't change the world. Sega does when Nintendo don't. That was a good marketing campaign for a while, right? I'm not dreaming that. That was actually a marketing campaign they ran for a good amount of time. Remember that presentation from Sega at this Summer Game Fest, like, was it last year or the year before? When they basically were like, we're back! We're making games! A lot of them, it's not just Sonic, okay? We do have loads of other game franchises that we will make games for. It's another thing to imagine. Remember when Sega made consoles? Will they ever... Can you picture a world where Sega are just one day making another console? Like, what would be the point, I suppose? It's crazy that Microsoft came up, kind of ate their lunch. Sony went from doing TVs to jump into that space. You can't even imagine another company coming in to make a games console these days. Like, you have so much to catch up on. Other than making it, like, how would you even make it unique? I'm sure these are questions some people have considered. It'd be really funny though to see Sega take a crack at it again. Give me those potions, Bran.
Oh, thanks, what's got you there?
Alright, we're good, we're good. Especially when I think Nintendo is proving, and Sony to a lesser extent, exclusives still sell you consoles. We can see how it's not working for Xbox for their console sales, and their approach of Game Pass and play our stuff everywhere. Fantastic for consumers, but it's not selling them boxes. And Nintendo with like the FromSoft exclusive stuff, very like people will buy the Switch 2 for that. They will. They just will. I'm even tempted myself, but I don't know. If it was like Dark Souls 4 type of game, maybe I'd be more inclined. But the steampunky, we're a vampire, there's trains, a little less up my alley, but who knows? Maybe it becomes the best FromSoft game of all time. That's very true, the dudes. That's very true. I think a lot of Nintendo over the years has just been learning from the mistake of a prior generation. Wii U being a more modern example. Which is interesting when you think back to it. Now everyone, like the Steam Deck, the Switch, all of this stuff, everyone kind of jumping into the handheld space again. Pardon me. How did it took the Wii U coming out the door and failing first? In a weird way.
It's too far away.
If you've not seen the Switch 2 Direct, use the dues. They announced a game called Duskbloods, which at first we were all very much like, is this Bloodborne 2? Inspired, if nothing else. But yeah, it is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive at the end of the trailer. Vampires, trains, steampunk jetpacks, turning into a dinosaur for some reason. And they've said since it's going to be a PvP VE game with a bigger focus on the multiplayer aspects of it. So maybe not quite what Night Rain's doing, but aye, that is indeed where they're going with it. Which again, mixed opinions about mushrooms. It's like we were saying earlier, it's one of those things though where it might have only been funded because Nintendo took the reins on it, like Bayonetta. Like that franchise only continued because Nintendo said we'll do it. Exactly, dudes. Bastards, 100%. Sony won't do it, Nintendo do it, make it exclusive. Thankfully, it's not exactly Bloodborne 2 because I'd be livid. I'd be like, damn, now I have to buy it. Now I have to get the Switch 2. We will see. We will see. Now Bloodborne's past, like, I think that one went past 10-year anniversary. Oh no, it was Sony's, not Bloodborne's, but Sony had an anniversary stream. Nothing from Bloodborne. No PC release. No upgraded PS5 version. Bloody nothing. I don't know why. I'm sure Miyazaki said in interviews, I'll do a Bloodborne. Again, I'd update it, but it's Sony who aren't letting him. Adding the mushrooms as we mushroom. I think themes-wise, Bloodborne is my favourite FromSoft game. Gameplay, I'm still a little more on the Dark Souls 3 camp. Just because I like my fantasy, I like my great swords, I like my shooting lightning bolts at people, but Bloodborne is just such a game. Exactly the dues. FromSoft so very rarely these days miss. Even when they do miss, it's not like Dark Souls 2 was a bad game. It's just when you compare it to other FromSoft games, people get a little bit, well, it's not as good as, you know what I mean? But I think for a lot of people, when it comes to FromSoft, it always depends on what your first one was. Like my first FromSoft game was Dark Souls 1. And that still, even as much as I like Freeze combat better, I love the themes of Bloodborne. I think Elden Ring did some fantastic stuff. Dark Souls 1 is still my favourite. That initial twisty windy, it's Artorias of the Abyss, it's, oh. Music with Gwyn at the end and the sad state of affairs. Glorious friend, all Sun Knight. Why am I forgetting his name in this moment? Why am I forgetting his name? Shit, now my brain's just falling asleep and I'm racking it furious. Solaire! There he is. There he is in the memory. Oh boy. I'd have been upset. Hey, and I've told this story before on stream, but Dark Souls 1, if memory serves, came out around the time Skyrim did. And people wouldn't shut the fuck up about Skyrim. Right? And playing Dark Souls for the first time then, and being like, you guys see that this combat's better, right? Like, yeah, sure, there's lots of good stuff about Skyrim, but you can see this combat in Dark Souls is way better, right? And people just being like, no, you're right. College days. And all these years later to be where we are, it's fascinating. And to be fair, I'm a lot kinder to Skyrim these days. I'm a lot kinder to where it is and what kind of game it is. This one is the only game on my Steam library that is 100% praise the sun, so I'll always be praising the sun. 100% as well, bloody hell, for the first game. I have to go and check my old 360 profile for where my Dark Souls 1 account ended up. I certainly don't think I did all of the endings. It was a lot more difficult back then too. I don't think I ever got to crafting one of the crazy boss weapons just because it was such a process in that game compared to where it ended up being. And don't get me wrong, the ease of beat boss, get soul, pick a reward, either a skill or a weapon. Love it. Like, really, what's the word? Not maybe thematically, but just gameplay-wise, it feels really cool to do that, to earn that. Whereas in Dark Souls 1, it was such... It's like, for Artorias' sword, for example, if memory serves, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was like, have the starting broken sword from the tutorial. Take that with you through the game. Then you can eventually upgrade it into Artorias' sword. That's insane. That's crazy. Most people will have sold that first chance they got at one of those vendors. Because, why wouldn't you? It's a broken old sword, but you've got to love them for that as well. I mean, it's always the best time when a FromSoft game comes out. Those first couple of weeks when nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Exactly, you had to know beforehand, and that's... I hate looking stuff up if I haven't played a game. I despise it. Even on something like WoW, I hate having to look up bosses beforehand. But if you want to do dungeon groups now and don't want people just getting pissy with you... Like Lost Ark came out a number of years ago. There was some really fun and interesting boss fights there. But it's one of those things where it's like, even for the more solo-friendly modes, you don't go in knowing every mechanic, people are just immediately pissy. Even when you're playing single-player online, you get folks, whether it's in chats or in comments, being like, well, you should have known to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, people, it's either the streamers or my first time through the game. Of course I don't know all this garbage. Exactly, multiple options as well, catering to people's various gameplay wants and needs. And even if you don't end up liking a weapon, having those options there is cool. You get to see them. You get to play around with them. There's arguments to be made for how much, not even hand-holding, but how much ease of access do you want compared to things just being difficult. I think a lot of discussion ends up not being difficulty, it's more, why is this obtuse? Why do people want to make it more obtuse? You see that with Monster Hunter and Wilds. People saying, oh, it was easier, hunts are faster, and to their credit, with all the mechanics at our disposal, the wound system and knocking stuff over happens a lot faster, it is a little easier. But also, you don't have to faff around with 3 different types of mining pick. You don't have to paintball the monster and follow it between loading screens. Your beastie finding it straight away gets you into the hunt straight away and straight back to the fight. Whether you find those trade-offs worth it in the long run, I think it's a very personal decision, but it certainly gets more people into a franchise. Exactly the dudes, exactly. Cryptic does not always mean better. I love a bit of mystery. I love having to figure stuff out, but if it's like intentionally obtuse, it gets in the way of stuff. Like for both Monster Hunter and the Soul series and FromSoft stuff in general, You don't need your multiplayer to be a goddamn enigma to put together for people when it could just be easy. Like, that's silly. Like, you like a bit of discovery. Like, Remnant 2, I think, is a fantastic example of a modern one of those where they had a lot of hidden stuff. And part of the procedural nature of it meant that even if you knew the answer to a puzzle online, for a lot of them, you still had to take part in the puzzle a little bit. Like, the symbols would be changed around, so the exact layout would be moved. So even if you were Googling it and finding out the answers, you still had to engage with it. Which I thought was a decent compromise, a decent way around it, because it's the modern day. With the internet, you can't get around guides being out day one, YouTube videos showing you all the secrets near enough immediately. Those secrets don't last that long. And there are some exceptions. There are some things that folks don't find out of a game months down the line, sometimes years. There was, on the Jeff Gersman show, he had one of the creators of, like, COD Zombies on there. And he said there were still things about one of the COD Zombie games and secrets that people still hadn't found. And that's awesome to hear. Again, I'm not a COD fan, I'm not a Zombies fan. But you hear that there's still stuff out there that devs take the time to put in. Delightful. But it's so hard to avoid now. And with meta lists and every video for like the release of a game, top 10 ways you can get a head start, best tips to go when you're starting this game, how to get the true ending immediately. It's to force yourself not to find that information. Especially sometimes where it's just like, I want to know, because you feel almost encouraged to do that, to get the best start you can for a game, especially if it's multiplayer, especially in the competitive environment that it is. Right, I think that balance mix has become more and more difficult for devs to find. I think a game like Animal Well, which I haven't played yet, apparently did a good job of it. And it's when a community gets behind a game and says, we don't want to spoil things. We'll come in, we'll help you through, but we don't want to spoil it. A lot of that is down to the player base. I think Warframe is another delightful example where folks don't want to spoil it. Well, I wish you the best of luck with your work, David Deuce. Thank you for hanging out. I look forward to maybe seeing you again. You take care now, bub. And enjoy your weekend when you're through the work day, yeah? Take it steady. I think for FromSoft specifically, they've got that formula down with that balance. But as more and more people play those games, obviously Elden Ring was a huge bump in sales compared to some of their other games. I'm very curious how that informs other games coming forward. And I don't think Night Reigns or even Dustbloods is going to show us the fruits of that straight away. They're both games with a more multiplayer focus. I think whatever they do next in the bigger sense, maybe they take that opportunity to address that balance all the more, to do something a little sneakier. There was one thing they had in Remnant 2 where they knew people would be data mining, right? They knew folks would be figuring that stuff out. So they had a full class that required data mining for people to figure out, and it wasn't day one, it took them a few weeks. It was lovely to see. And even if you weren't data mining, you could go through some secret bits and find specs of where those different secrets led, and it ended up going to a locked door that you couldn't just get into, and it seemed like there was no clear means on how to get in. And over the weeks, the data miners figured it out. You needed to wear a specific set of items that had seemingly no relevance to each other. Specific gear, specific class. Then the door opened, and you got this really low poly, green floor, silly corridors, dev bit to go through and unlock this other class. But that was a really fun way to nod at the modern reality that people will be data mining. People will be looking up all your secrets, so why not give them something fun to chase while they're in there? Not to say that's necessarily an easy thing to set up. Isn't a lot of dev time in its own right, but I'd love to see more stuff like that. Again, I wouldn't know where to start with data mining, but I love to see it. Certainly a game like WoW, half of the news cycle is around people data mining stuff coming in the next patch. It's par for the course for MMOs these days. And they try, compared to where they were, they do try to not have everything on the PTR, to not have everything within the data, to hide it a little better. Because on some level, whatever you put in there, folks who cover a game almost, you know, there is a duty to cover those things. Like when games leaks and such like that. We'd love a world where games don't leak and the devs get to announce when they want to announce, but these things happen. You cover it or do you not cover it? That type of thing. I think that specifically falls down to individual taste for a company and the nature of each individual leak. Like some are more malicious than others, for example. Ow. Come on, you wee bastard. Divide the mushrooms. I remember for WoW when... Again, let's take away the fact we've all been through Shadowlands now, right? Let's ignore that fact. That first cinematic had everyone really hyped. It would have had them more hyped if 2 weeks beforehand we hadn't seen a glowy Lich King Bolvar. You know what I mean? If we didn't know, A, that's where the cinematic was going, and B, that he was going to be in it and changing colour. Sure, there was a little bit of fun speculation to be had, but it took a lot of wind out of those sails. Get away from me. I say, I am hoping, as we were saying earlier, that those kind of big surprises for the year are all just waiting behind Grand Theft Auto 6 to finally get announced, hopefully before the Summer Game Show, by Mr. Keeley can get up on stage and be like, here's a load of new stuff that everyone's been holding on to and waiting for. Here you go. There's still a lot of stuff that's been delayed and pushed back, like that next Fable game at one point was meant to be coming out this year. Certainly not doing now. They've said they're going to delay it, they're going to push it back, they're going to work on it, they're going to polish it up more, which fantastic. It's been so long since we've had a Fable game. That delightful British humour. Now, when it does come back, you want it to be as good as possible. I will always take a delay over a game coming out unfinished, or broken, or buggered. Because we get enough of that constantly anyway. Early access or not, you get so many games that come out and are just busted. Or at the very least, a version, usually the PC version, is absolutely balked. Even something as successful as Wilds has been, came out with really horrendous optimization stuff on the PC. Oh, I missed one of the Nemesis. It's fine. It's fine. Ooh, little bit of transmog. It's a candle hat. The standard cobalt candle. I'll never wear it, but I've got to respect the level of detail. Alright, now last chest for the day. No Bountiful map this week. A shame. Trinket, that is not an upgrade. Another thing for Bran. Alright, let us get back to Dornagol. We'll hand us stuff in, we'll sell us junk, and we will call it for the morning. Cheers, Bran. We use some upgrades. We're probably good enough now on the gear level to fight the underpin on Monday. Give him a go. Assuming the stream works again. Yeah, the other day was Tuesday. We just had some OBS errors. That meant every time I tried to stream for an hour and a half, it was just like, you're forbidden from doing this. You can't stream. You're not allowed. So I went, did some chores, mowed the lawn, that kind of thing, and then came back thinking, right, let's try and sort this out for the evening stream. And it just worked. I was absolutely bloody livid. Again, that's not what you want. I'd rather understand an issue and be able to work around it, but for it to just arbitrarily be like, I'm working, I'm not working, it was like, for
I have
sake.
calibrated my prices to be
Get
reasonable.
our stuff into the bank. I've got a reasonable amount of gold, but still nowhere enough to get enough one of these goddamn tabs. Get our warbound gear in there. My enchanter's going to have a field day at some point. Which ones of these are champion? I need... Oh. Veteran or champion? I can't remember. One of them lets you make the tier set from other gear, so collecting transmog becomes easier. Right, so that's sorted. We've seen Ganib and Tanib. Let's just run by the upgrade people. See if we can get this new cloak upgraded past our current one. Oh yeah, straight past it. Very good.
Go carefully.
Get that equipped. Boop. Lovely. Nicer cape as well. At some point we'll get back to transmogging, but the fact I got this mythic helmet I'm quite happy with.
This world is vast and wondrous.
Any more we can do. The hero ones. Not enough of those crests. Ooh, the helmet we can upgrade to its final level though. Beautiful. Everything else requires those. Just the ruined ones. Can I transmute my way to more of them? Let me see. It was get the carved ones.
Farewell.
Use those carved ones to get the other ones, and then use those other ones to get the ones we need.
How
A little fiddly, but you know, we get there. Oh, one off. Robbed.
In unity, find strength.
But that should be an upgrade as well.
There is much to be done.
Start getting the leggings up.
Fair side.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh. Then, folks, with that, I will say, get him on his little podium. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed yourselves, don't forget to hit that like button. Helps push the video through the algorithm so more folks can come hang out, play some games with us. Subscribe for more content here on the channel. On the weekdays, we're at 9 AM GMT with World of Warcraft, and between 4 and 6 in the evenings, we start up with other games. Currently, we're going through Wanderstop, delightful little cozy game. This evening, we'll be jumping over to Monster Hunter Wilds for the first title update, but you can find playlists of all the games we've already covered right here on the channel to binge to your heart's content. Just when you're on the YouTube tab, go past video to that playlist section, it's all ordered for you in there. So until next time, folks, much love, take care, enjoy your weekend, and bye-bye.
A duck walked into an apothecary and he said, "Give me some chapstick."